sort of return the favor, I think.
Right.
Be mean back.
Yeah. Well, it was definitely a difficult conversation. Both people have been, I guess, studying this for a while, and when one thinks the other is wrong, it can get rather heated.
Yeah. But both were good, actually.
That's great. You enjoyed it? You were able to hear everything fine? Hi, Stuart. How are you?
It keeps...
How are you?
Hi.
Hey, Jimmy, do you want, since you're a little laggy, do you want to click the turn off camera button again?
I think my sound is fine, right?
Yeah, your sound is fine. Correct. It is.
Your sound is fine. Correct.
Yeah, so I don't think it's the camera that's
okay.
disturbing anything.
Stuart, where are you coming in from right now? Did you just listen to that debate?
Stuart, where are you coming in from right now? Did you just listen to that debate?
I did, yes.
What was your impression of
Yeah, I just wanted to say into a lot of...
What was your impression
Well, yeah, I'll give you my impressions. I was quite involved in South Africa, so I have some good experience of apartheid in the South African context. And one of the things that was noticeable there, and I think is noticeable in Israel, is how people have very different narratives historically, depending on people, for want of a better word, they're representing. And I think the problem was Richard was the narrative that he thinks is history is very much a false narrative. It's being created by the state of Israel to justify their occupation, to justify their historic facts, or certainly not as I understand them. And the same thing happened in South Africa. There they had a story that South Africa was an empty land until the Boers arrived and through agriculture. And I mean, all of this is going to be absolutely inaccurate. It's just a fiction. But it's something that takes very deep root, especially in a population that feels or imagines that it's...
That's great. So basically, you were kind of listening in on that conversation. With your experience with South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, I thought. Yeah, I mean, I thought Mikko did very well there. It's calm, presented his facts well. I thought the other guy seemed to just get very angry because he didn't like what he was hearing. And you can't have a proper discussion if someone's just going to get angry and not actually listen to what the other person's saying. I understand what you're trying to do here in creating a dialogue, but it takes a certain amount of self-discipline to be able to have a dialogue about an emotional subject. And
right.
If someone doesn't have that self-discipline to remain calm, then that makes your job very difficult.
Yeah, thank you. It was quite difficult, but
thank you. It was quite difficult.
But thank you so much for your impression. I know you've been speaking to my partner Alex, so
yeah.
We'll definitely be in touch. If you would you mind friending me on Facebook, and I'll put my name in the chat, Stuart?
Would you mind friending on Facebook, and I'll put my name?
Yeah, what's your last name? Or I'll get you off the page. Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, I just put it in the text chat.
Okay, I just
Who creates the lag? Got you. Okay. All right.
Gil, where are you?
That.
Gil,
thanks, Max, and well done. I mean, that was interesting to watch.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Hi, Max.
Hi, Gil. Where are you calling from? Where are you coming in from?
I'm actually calling from Long Island.
Hi, Gil. Where are you calling?
I actually know Alex. I went to school with him sometime in middle school.
Cool.
So I know your friend Alex. That's how I heard about it. I got the invitation through Facebook. First of all, I want to say you being the middleman, it definitely wasn't easy to mediate between the two men. Each person is very emotional about the subject, as you said earlier. Secondly, I don't necessarily think there's much you could do about this. I do think that Miko P had more time to speak than Richard L. And inevitably that makes it unfair to one party because you can state much more facts and details. As far as the overall debate, I was very engaged in the actual debate. I even tried to speak. You asked me to come off because it was disturbing what was going on. So I understood I had to exit right away. I wish I could get in there and say a fact or two. I wasn't necessarily disappointed with Richard L. I'm sure he knows a lot about the subject and topic. I'm just upset that he didn't have the ability to really represent the Middle East crisis the way it should have been presented. Maybe it could have been he didn't have enough time to speak, or it could have been for other reasons. I do think that the whole claim about apartheid, I do think it's a fallacy. I don't think that Israel's an apartheid state. If you look at South Africa, you did not see their South African congresswomen and men as you do in the Israeli government. You do not see the same equality and the same rights that Israeli Palestinians have on a regular basis. And in fact, Israeli Jews are oftentimes dealt much heavily than as Israeli Arabs in many situations. I can give you one example. One time, an Israeli soldier, a Jewish Israeli soldier, was caught an Arab stealing a car. This was a big thing in the news, I remember. And what happened was he was Israeli, he was an Israeli citizen. As he was trying to steal the car, he was in the driver's seat and he was about to drive at the actual officer, and the officer took a gun and shot him. That officer, who was engaging in self-defense, there's no question about it, was actually subject to a serious court set of laws, and he ended up getting about 6 years in prison or so, just for self-defense. So this, alongside many other examples, showed how there's definitely an equality among Israelis who have citizenships, both Arabs and Jews. As far as apartheid, it's something that, during the last war, you saw there was numerous Israeli trucks who were packed with food, who were transported from Israel to Gaza, and the humanitarian aid they received. And oftentimes people associate Palestinians as the weak party, but just because it's a weak party, that doesn't mean that it's the right party. And I think that oftentimes the media is misleading in many ways. And if I can sum this all up in ways, we get information from the media, and that's how we're able to understand it. And what the media does sometimes, more times than not actually, is they tend to give just a part of the story, a detail, but not the actual big picture. And it fails to show what's exactly going on. As human beings, we tend to shift towards those who are the weaker side. We, like Americans, we love the underdog. America is an underdog story. Everyone loves America and the underdog story from the history of Americans. And that's how they're portrayed, as perhaps as the David and Israelis as the Goliath. At the end of the day, I do think that, if anything, Israel is a state similar to New Jersey, surrounded by Goliath-like Muslim states. But the true David and Goliath battle is really between Israel and the worldwide media. Overall, I was very engaged, and I hope that there will be another debate with speakers who will have enough time, equal amount of time, to present their case and the facts. And I really enjoyed overall what was going on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Right now we just have like a very, basic product that we built here, to get these conversations going. The idea, we're taking all of these, ideas that people such as yourself are giving us, these suggestions, and we're going to definitely try and integrate them into our product over the coming weeks and months as we build it out. So for sure, we're doing our best right now. The idea behind time limits, ultimately, so right now I'm just moderating these conversations because we think it's necessary to work with our scheduling system where we're scheduling these different Vonvos, and we want to just get the ball rolling here. But ultimately, the idea behind Vonvo is just free flowing conversations about news. So in weeks from now, we're hoping that there won't need to be a moderator necessary, for a discussion like this or about football, and it'll just be people discussing it on their own freely. So it's all interesting suggestions, and we have to kind of take them into play. So I know that it's not perfect right now. We're just trying to get our cards in order. And I mean, I was obviously I was trying to do my best. In the beginning of the video I addressed. Yeah, in the beginning of the video, I said to both speakers, to behave appropriately and have a civil conversation. I personally, I think that in the end, Miko probably violated that when he called Richard, delusional. So that I thought that it was worthy reason to leave because who wants to get made fun of? But we'll take a look at the video and see how see what is worth posting, and we'll so that people can watch this and be educated about what's going on with such an interesting subject.
Right. I think you and Alex are definitely doing a good thing. This is seems like a great idea. I actually started a company myself recently, so I understand the difficulty of starting something new.
Right.
It takes a lot of practice and it takes a lot of understanding of what's going on. Overall, I wish you guys the best of luck, and I'm looking forward to more videos like this where they're very engaging. And I wish you guys the best of luck as well.
Yeah. Look, Gil, we'd love to have you back. I'm glad that you enjoyed your experience. I think most people enjoyed it. Could have ended a little bit better, probably, but ultimately we have a lot more stabs at this. If you take a look at our YouTube page, you can see all the other conversations that have been taking place, and they're recorded for people to watch. And on top of that, definitely follow our Facebook page so that you can keep updated with the conversations that are going to be going on now. Hopefully, definitely each weekend, and hopefully going every hopefully every day at some point.
Will do.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Gil.
Good to meet you. Take care.
Thank you. Jimmy, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Jill, if he's Jewish or so.
Jill, what's your background? Are you Jewish?
My name is Gil.
Gil.
Yes, Gil.
Gil.
I am Jewish. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
Jimmy, did you have any immediate suggestions? Did you have any?
No, but yeah, I want to talk about peace actually. Solutions.
You want to talk about solutions? Okay, great. Let's get right into it. What would you say are the first?
Yes.
What would you say, Jimmy, are the first immediate next steps that you would take towards solutions?
Well, I've actually thought about this, and I have proposed some things, but I don't know. So I'm not in the conflict. I'm not in the actual area where they fight, so I can't know for sure how people will react. But I have suggested some things. Partially, both suggested one sort of step plan.
Yes.
Which has about 4 or 5 steps. And I have also made like a peace proposal actually.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
But it's just to sort of see how. I just wanted to sort of give my ideas and see feedback I got from it and see how it was met and so on. So.
Okay.
But if I should respond to your question there, first immediate step would be to do what they sort of try to do now with the truce that they have. But they first try and make like a truce or peace where they don't fight, they don't respond, they don't shoot suspects in Gaza and so on. They try and avoid all violence in total. They try and do that for a while so that things can calm down. And then after that, after they have had maybe like 1 or 2 years or so with complete peace, maybe they are ready to one of the specific questions are very troublesome, say borders and then they work in steps and see how it moves along all the time.
Great.
That's my proposal.
Gil, do you have any?
My first proposal. I have a big proposal. Sorry.
Gil, do you have any immediate thoughts that come from Jimmy's suggestions?
Well, I mean, of course. I mean, the first step to peace is obviously ceasefire. You know, in anything essentially. So you should start looking at where does violence, where does it usually start from? Do you see that it takes two to tango, as the saying goes. There's no question about it. It's not a one. It takes two to fight. I know everybody knows that. But when you look at the Middle Eastern crisis, do you see as Israel is the one who starts with the violence, or do you see as the Palestinians who starts with the violence? Now, I'm not looking at the reasons behind the violence per se. I'm just looking at the initiation of it itself. Where does the actual initiation comes from?
Jimmy, do you have a response to that?
Well, I think it's complicated because I mean, the usual answer is that it's the rockets that start everything, but I've also heard claims that it's Israel that breaks the ceasefires, and I can't determine from here which one came first, but I know that there's been, of course, thousands of rockets, and that's not acceptable in a nation.
I mean,
but I can't say exactly who is starting everything. In Sweden.
Sweden. Very nice. I want to come visit there one time. I hope I get the opportunity. I hear it's a beautiful country.
Okay, you're welcome to Stockholm.
Yeah. It's there's certain there's to tell you that Israel never broke a ceasefire. Even if I say no or yes, there's things that happen behind the curtains that the everyday average individual would just not know. So I can definitely not go on and say Israel never started anything. Everyone hears that Israel eliminates certain terrorist, organization leaders who oftentimes are the engineers and architects of numerous attacks that have occurred in the past. That certainly does happen, which oftentimes ignites Palestinian rage. That's something that it's a given, but ultimately, you said something that I'm obviously going to agree with, that the rockets do start from one side and end at another side. I could tell you that the way I see the Middle East crisis is there's a lot of things that Israel does that not only I disagree with, but Israeli citizens who live in Israel disagree with the Israeli government. I mean, I don't know if a year ago there was a protest called social and just how Israeli citizens seek social justice for each other. So, but ultimately, I can tell you that I see it to me, like, if I log on to Vonvo.com, I'm sure somewhere in the website they have a mission statement of what they're trying to do. What is their goal? What is their purpose of what they're trying to do? And they, to the best of their ability, they will try to meet what they state in that same in that same mission statement that they declare on their website. The terrorist organizations that control Gaza, like Hamas, have stated numerous times that they seek to destroy Israel and to move it off the map, like the guy from Iran. So the peace starts from the ability to recognize someone's existence. When you cannot recognize someone's existence as an individual, as a culture, as a group, then no matter who starts this fire, who does not start the fire, no matter what happens, you can never have peace because one fails to accept the existence of another. So, to me, that is, in a nutshell, essentially, the Middle East crisis. You can't do anything about it. When you have individuals or groups who take charge and say, okay, we're willing to recognize Israel as a Jewish state, let's now talk peace. That's something that we can move ahead.
Right.
There's no question.
But the thing that people are coming into the issue that's coming into play with that item is you have one side saying that they don't think that there should be that title shouldn't exist for that country. There are other people that are saying that in order for that title to stay the way it is, then there has to be a two-state solution, so the Palestinians have their own title to their own country. Ultimately, when people start bringing up the idea of a one-state solution, I get pushed in the corner thinking, and I've brought it up to people, I ask them the question, so if you want a one-state solution, you're telling me that the only thing you're arguing about is what the name of the country is going to be, because that's the sense that I get, ultimately. Like, it's whether it's going to be Israel or it's going to be Palestine, if it's going to be a one-state solution. I think a lot of it turns into just a name-calling act for what the country should be called from a lot of what I'm hearing, because they dig down deep into the issues, but then in the end it's like, okay, so what are we going to call this place and what's it going to represent? And that's where I see, where the people are having, their issues for sure. And I think that's easily one of the core roots of the problem. One thing I want to throw out there is I want to kind of try and stay away from me giving my personal opinion just because I want to represent our site as objectively as possible. But that's ultimately I'm seeing from all the people I'm speaking to, I'm seeing a lot of the conflict being a controversy over what to call this land, what in this area, whose it should be and what it should be called, and I'm seeing a major. It's almost imperative, and that's why I brought it up to Miko and Richard. I see it almost as imperative that individuals of this generation have to be willing to put 5,000 years behind them, because everyone continues to reference the history, and the history is the history. And if anyone wants to move forward, I know it may sound simple, but ultimately, if you want to move forward, if everyone's going to continue, you just heard both those speakers, all they're talking about is history. And then when they try bringing up the idea of a solution, they can't even move into it because they're too tied up in those history books. And they're focusing on, a lot of the current issues for sure. But,
Max.
Go ahead. What's up, Jimmy?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that actually I looked at my proposal and I saw that my first two steps were first peace that I said, but also what they had, Israel's existence. Those were the two first in my proposal. Actually.
I didn't hear the second thing you said. What was the second?
And after that, removing the settlements and then the borders and the refugees in those steps. In that order, I mean.
When you say borders, do you mean the
settlements, borders, and refugees?
You said the 1967 borders?
And that is up for
You're breaking
the
up.
parties to decide, but for me that is the borders, yeah.
So you're saying the 1967 borders?
Okay.
If you're correctly, right?
Well, I said that for me personally, it would be like 1967 borders with land swaps. For me
what
personally.
Barack Obama has suggested in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
The problem.
But it's for them ultimately to decide, I guess.
Right. The problem with the 1967 borders is that they're indefensible. You cannot defend Israel with the 1967 borders. If I took a trip in Sweden, if I lived there, I would even give you an example of why perhaps they're indefensible. One thing I can tell you is that the 1967 borders, they have mountains that go up very high, and it prevents other neighboring states who essentially are not fond of Israel, to put it in these terms, who seek to, if they had the opportunity to even destroy Israel, it prevents them from entering with tanks because it's mountain high. The borders are very very high. It prevents it from entering to Israel and attacking. You're looking at about I think less than 9 miles in width, which is I think like 4.4 kilometers or 4.5 kilometers in length. And strategically, as a state, because Israel is very, very small, the 1967 borders are indefensible in every aspect of it. Israel oftentimes can be renowned for its military intelligence and for its military ability, but you just can't defend those. And if someone wants to ask, why does Israel need to defend these borders, it's because you have you have neighboring states who constantly always look to attack, not on a regular basis necessarily, but there has been problems, and Israel needs to strategically, as a state, as an army, to defend itself. 1967 borders are just indefensible.
Okay, but could an international force like the UN be making security in that area that Israel wants to have for their security, so that it's not Israeli forces, but the UN forces?
Well, let me ask you this question. I'm not. If would you put your safety in someone else's hands necessarily? Would you, as a country, can you allow a third party who always tries to be a neutral party? Can you put your safety in their hands? I don't think any country would. I don't think America would do it. I don't think Sweden would do it. I don't think any other country in the world would.
No, I wouldn't. But the thing is, that problem is that when you're placing your troops in another country, you sort of take over that country. That's the thing I'm trying to deal with. So that that Israel has its security, but that you're not taking over another country. If you understand me, like Israel gains its security, but it doesn't take over another country.
So you're saying Israel will maintain its security, but it will not take over another country? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? I didn't understand so much.
I'm going to leave the conversation, guys. You can continue, okay?
Okay.
They could have a...
Hey, 1 second, 1 second.